In this video, I'll be performing some work on the windshield washer system in a 1988 Porsche 944, as well as providing an overview of the main system components and functionality. Before getting into the repair work, let's take a look at the primary windshield washer system components for this 1988 model year. The washer fluid system is activated by pulling back on the switch stalk located on the right side of the steering column, which passes current through a 30 amp fuse sitting at position 24 on the central electrical panel. Wiring for the washer fluid pump runs along the left frame rail, across the front of the car behind the aluminum front bumper, and over to the washer fluid reservoir where we'll find two electrical connectors, one for the windshield washer pump and one for the headlight washer pump if so equipped. While troubleshooting this circuit, if there's no voltage reading at the connectors when operating the washer switch with the key in the on position, the fuse should first be checked. If the fuse and the wiring checks out okay, it's likely that the wiper switch is faulty, where the late model combination switch assembly on the steering column can be replaced for around $340. And while the early wiper switch is no longer in production, used parts can be found for around $60 to $70. The pump sends fluid through the plastic lines running along the right side of the engine bay, through the firewall, and up to the back of the hood, where we'll see two plastic check valves, one that's T-shaped and one that's L-shaped. And from there, the fluid is sent to the two heated spray nozzles on either side of the hood. You'll notice some wiring coming from the nozzles as well, which provides power to the heating elements inside, so the nozzles can be de-iced in cold weather conditions. There's also a plastic clip arm on the back of each nozzle that can be depressed in order to remove them from above the hood. The check valves in the system provide some back pressure on the fluid, so the pump doesn't have to prime the system each time it's operated. But as you can probably imagine, due to their small size, both the check valves and the nozzle outlets are prone to clogs from sludge and debris passing through the system, which is a common failure point. The fluid lines are secured at each connection point by some ear clamps or pinch clamps, which are single use only, so the clamps will need to be replaced when disassembling those components. As the fluid lines age, they can dry out and crack over time, and if you'd like to replace all the lines, you'll need about 4 meters of hose for all the 944 models. That said, there are a couple differences in both the washer pumps and the washer fluid reservoirs across the early and the late model cars. The early reservoir from 1983 to 1987 features a larger style design with a pop cap and a pump that clips atop the tank using a metal bracket. Porsche implemented two new reservoir designs in 1988, one larger version for cars with the headlight washer system and a smaller version for cars without. Both of the new tanks feature a screw cap on top, a drain plug below, and fluid pumps that press fit into place using rubber grommets. The early and late style washer pumps can be replaced for between $20 and $60. The smaller reservoir is about $100, and the larger reservoirs run a little over $200. When replacing the reservoirs, the smaller version can simply be removed from above the engine bay after removing a couple mounting screws, but the larger tanks will need to be removed from below the car after clearing away the wheel well liner and the components sitting below the headlight assembly. As for this 944, the windshield washer system was functional when I bought the car, but has since failed and no longer sprays fluid from the nozzles. When testing the switch stock on the car, I can hear the pump running, so that rules out any issues with a faulty switch, a blown fuse, or a seized pump. So what I'm going to do is drain the system and bench test the pump to make sure that it's not clogged. I've also got a new reservoir that I'll be adding to the car, two new check valves, and a set of pinch clamps. The fluid lines are in pretty good shape, so I'll be reusing those after I swap out the valves and get everything cleaned up. After testing the pump and running some water through the lines to flush them out, it seems like things are flowing pretty well there. For whatever reason, this plastic drain plug wouldn't create a waterproof seal on the new reservoir, despite it being fully tightened down, so I placed a small bead of plumber's putty around the inside edge to get it sealed up. These pinch clamps can be a little tedious to remove. As you can see, the new ones have a small tab on the outside edge that can be pried up and off to loosen them up, but the original clamps are smooth all the way around. So you can either use a small flathead screwdriver to twist and spread the tabs apart, or a small cutting tool to separate the tabs. When inspecting the insides of the old check valves, they appeared to be clogged up from dirty fluid in the system, which I'm thinking was the issue in this case. Once all the new parts were installed and the system was cleared out, the functionality to the windshield washer system was restored, but most of the fluid was now spraying well beyond the windshield, so I used a pick tool to lower and adjust each of the nozzles to correct the direction of the washer spray.